The Mass Miner is back, all thanks to the new buff to the Life Gem. So let this be the only guide you need to master this army to 3-star any base you see. To kick things off, let's go over the best build each hero will need for this army to consistently 3-star. Starting with the Barbarian King, I recommend still using the Spiky Ball and Earthquake Boots, as it's still very strong in most situations, as opening walls and doing a lot of damage lets your king be very flexible regardless of the base. However, if you do prefer using the Vamp Stash, you can also run it with the new Snake Bracelet, which makes your king very tanky while also spawning snakes, which can be quite good if used correctly. As for pets, here is what I recommend you use for him. As for the Grand Warden, you will be running the Eternal Tome and the Life Gem for the ultimate support for your Mass Miner army. This will not only keep them protected from damage for some time, but also will allow them to be pretty tanky for a 6 housing space unit. This will pair very well with heal spells to keep your Mass Miner alive as they work around the base. In terms of the pets he can run, here's what I recommend. Now, the Archer Queen is pretty simple as well, as she will be running the Magic Mirror and Healer Puppets as her go-to option. This allows her to stay alive while dealing massive damage in the process. While being behind the king, she will be able to easily clear multiple defenses and also set a proper funnel for your Mass Miner army. As for her pets, I do recommend running these depending on your town hall level. And of course, the Royal Champion still has a strong build of using the Electric Boots and the Hog Puppets. This combo works really well within Mass Miners, as she can not only support them by removing skeleton traps, but also in dealing with the enemy CC troops and spawning Hog Riders to really provide a lot more damage around the base. In terms of her best pets, I recommend using these. In addition to the simple hero equipment builds, these army comps are very simple as they just contain the Miner troop. If you want to follow along with this video, the army comp links are within the description. With the army and hero set, let's first focus on funneling, where we have 2 funnels on adjacent sides. The Barbarian King and Archer Queen will be used on one side to clear defenses and to set up a proper funnel for the Mass Miners. With the Spiky Ball and Earthquake Boots on the King, it will still let him do big damage while opening walls for the Queen. Likewise, the Archer Queen will be able to help clear defenses and buildings while remaining alive for some time. If you do prefer using the Vamp Stash though, the Snake Bracelet can be a good option thanks to the snakes distracting defenses while the king tanks for the queen. On the adjacent corner, we're using the Siege Barracks to clear out another funnel. This will also use a super wall breaker to get in, but for the most part, you will be able to clear an entire compartment with this siege on its own. And it will be much stronger thanks to the new level to the P.E.K.K.A. However, do be aware of ricochet cannons, multi-archer towers, and the new multi-gear tower in cannon mode, as these can make quick work of your siege barrack troops if you're not careful. Overall, this will create a simple funnel to drive the Mass Miners throughout the base. With the funnel set on either side, it's time to spam in the miners while using the Grand Warden and Royal Champion to smash the base. Often, I recommend using an early heal spell as you enter the base to keep your Mass Miner healthy. From there though, you will just want to keep the Mass Miners working inside the base from defense to defense. If you have yet to deal with the enemy CC, you have the ability to do so with the Royal Champion thanks to the Electric Boots and a Poison spell. But as you work into the core of the base, you'll want to use the Warden's Eternal Tome to keep all your troops protected as they run through buildings in the core. Other than this, you'll want to keep using your heal spells over big groups of troops to keep them moving through high DPS areas. You additionally have an Overgrowth spell to keep an area frozen for a limited time. Typically for Town Hall 17 players, you can use this to help pathing while shutting down key defenses. But for Town Hall 16 and below players, using this spell over the Town Hall tends to be more ideal, as you can avoid the Town Hall poison until much later. Free spells are also good to deal with multi-target defenses like the Inferno Towers or Ricochet Cannons in order to keep your mass miner alive. With all that said, this army should be more than enough to clear most bases thanks to the life gem buff that can keep a ton of the miners alive as they work from defense to defense for an easy 3-star. With each part broken down, let's give you a couple examples of how you can use this army in full no matter your Town Hall level. Now let's start at a lower Town Hall perspective by looking at Town Hall 15 first. Overall, this is a fairly simple strategy where you're going to start with the king and queen on one side, and on the adjacent side, we're going to be running the siege barrack. The siege barrack, for the most part, is going to be able to clear a ton of other buildings. You can definitely take a baby dragon to provide a little bit more additional support for your funneling, but for the most part, we have the siege barrack to be able to clear one side, and the queen with the barbarian king on the other to create another side of our funnel. This allows our king to open walls with his spiky ball and earthquake boots while having the siege barrack clear a bunch of other buildings and having the mass miner start working into the base with the warden and royal champion to follow. Other than this, spells are greatly important. We want to use a heal spell early in order to keep everything alive, and then realistically, if we're not taking a lot of damage, we don't have to use the warden ability just yet. Other than that, we have the queen with her magic mirror being able to deal with the enemy CC, and we can use free spells over key defenses like the monolith. This allows us to use our warden's eternal tome as we get to the core, and along with that, we have the overgrowth spell to turn the town hall invisible and frozen, so that way we can deal with all of the other defenses around it first before we then go ahead and take it out. This way we don't have to really worry about the town hall poison at all, which makes this a very strong option. And you can see we still have a ton of miners really around the base clearing out defenses and buildings and making things really easy. We've got the rage spell being used with the hog riders and the royal champion, so we can very easily 3-star no matter what. Now at the max level where there's a lot more splash damage defenses, this is still a very strong option, all because of the miner's new level. For the most part, we're using the same basic thing, the king and the queen on one side, and on the adjacent side, we've got the siege barracks. We're using super wall breakers to get them in, and we've got the king with the spiky ball and earthquake boots to clear as many buildings as possible while making sure that he can open walls for our archer queen. Overall, this is going to allow us to create great pathing, which is going to then allow us to start moving in with the use of our mass miner. Of course, I do recommend trying to use some spells like a skeleton spell instead of a freeze, or using a freeze spell in order to help deal with ricochet cannons or other merge defenses. But for the most part, having a heal spell at the ready to keep everything alive as they work in is very important. Now in this case, we want to use an early ability because this is going to allow us to keep everything alive. As for our overgrowth, we're using it in the core where we can hide the monolith and create great pathing in the process. This keeps all of our troops alive as they work through. We do also want to deal with the enemy CC, which is why the electro boots are so nice for the royal champion. Other than that, free spells over splash damage defenses, and of course another heal is always good on a large group of troops. As you work around, using a rage spell is great, especially with the hog riders, as it allows you to just do plenty of damage as you work around. Other than this, you can kind of just let the rest of your miners and heroes kind of go around the base and clearing through. Any leftover spells like freeze are really nice to have to protect troops and heroes like the royal champion, and otherwise you should have more than enough miners to clear through the entire rest of the base for a super easy 3-star. It just really comes down to getting the best value from your heroes funneling and making sure that you can get value off of your spells so you can very easily 3-star no matter your town hall level. Thanks to the new levels and balance changes, this army has become one of the best options that is quite easy. However, if you want to check out the best army with the new Minion Prince equipment, I recommend checking out this sneak peek video right here.